Daddy, that waitress looks just like Mommy. Isla's voice was soft, but it landed in Ethan Langford's chest like a thunderclap. The fork in his hand froze halfway to his mouth. For a moment, he forgot how to breathe. Golden midday sunlight streamed through the wide glass windows of Azure Shore, the upscale seaside restaurant where father and daughter sat for lunch. It bathed Isla's little face in a soft, glowing hue. Ethan set the fork down with a slightly trembling hand. "What did you say, sweetheart?" Isla pointed with straightforward innocence only 4-year-olds possess, toward a row of tables across the room. "She looks like Mommy in the pictures." Ethan turned, his chest tightening with something more than surprise. She was laughing, a waitress with honey blonde hair tied in a loose ponytail, leaning down to chat with guests nearby. And for one breathless second, the world tilted. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear, the crinkle at the corner of her smile. It was Camilla, or it could have been. "Are you okay, Daddy?" Isla asked, tilting her head with concern. "I'm fine," Ethan managed, voice catching in his throat. He wiped his clammy hands on his napkin. "Eat your mac and cheese before it gets cold." But Isla had already moved on from her lunch. She was waving excitedly at the woman, face lit up with innocent hope. Before Ethan could stop her, the waitress turned, noticed Isla's eager gestures, and started walking toward them. "Isla, please," he muttered, but it was too late. "Hi there, is there something I can help you with?" Her voice wasn't exactly like Camilla's, deeper, touched with a West Coast lilt, but the warmth was achingly familiar. "You look like my mommy," Isla announced cheerfully. The woman's smile faltered just a little, then her gaze landed on Ethan. She froze. "In Ethan Langford." Ethan blinked. "Do we know each other?" "It's me, Sophia Alvarez. I was Camilla's roommate at Stanford." Sophia looked at Ethan, surprise flickering in her eyes before softening. "I never expected to see you here. Are you okay?" Ethan swallowed hard, avoiding her gaze. Such a simple question, and yet it cut deep. "Amelia passed away 18 months ago." Sophia went still, her face paled. "Oh my God, Ethan, I didn't know. I'm so sorry." He nodded, unsure what else to say. Isla busied herself with her straw, blissfully unaware of the storm passing between the two adults. "Did you daughter with Camilla?" Sophia asked, eyes resting gently on the little girl. "Yeah, her name's Isla. She was 3.5 when it happened. She still asks when Mommy's coming home." The air thickened with grief. Ethan reached into his bag and handed Isla a coloring book. "Why don't you draw for a bit, sweetheart?" Sophia knelt beside the table, tears welling in her eyes. "Camilla was my best friend for years. We lost touch after college. I never imagined this, not like this." She looked at Isla again. She really does look like her. Sophia gave a sad smile. "Camilla always wanted a daughter. I remember back in senior year, we stayed up all night talking about our futures. She said she'd marry someone successful and travel the world." Ethan chuckled faintly. "She used to joke she'd marry a billionaire. Funny how that turned out." "You did become one," Sophia said, smiling. "She always believed you would change the world." A warm pause settled between them. "What are you doing these days?" Ethan asked. "I went back to school, master's in child psychology. I study during the day, work here at night, and take care of my grandfather Raphael after he had a stroke last year. It's not glamorous, but it feels right." Ethan studied her face, then asked suddenly, "Would you consider something part-time with Isla?" Sophia raised an eyebrow. "You mean nannying?" "Not just that. Isla needs someone who understands her emotionally, someone who knew Camilla." "I don't know, Ethan." "Just think about it." Sophia glanced at Isla, who was now carefully coloring a purple dress on her drawing. Something in her softened. "All right, I'll think about it." And to Ethan, that was already a beginning. Sophia arrived on a Monday afternoon, right on time. Ethan stood at the door, uncertain if the feeling in his chest was relief or nervousness. Isla had no such doubts. The moment she saw Sophia, she squealed and ran straight into her arms, as if they'd known each other forever. Ethan could only watch, heart tightening at how natural it all felt. "Did you miss me already?" Sophia laughed, crouching down to hug her. "But now you're at my house," Isla replied, as if that made all the difference in the world. Sophia began her afternoons at the Langford estate with the simplest things: coloring with Isla, building block towers, making pretend cookies from Play-Doh. Yet those small things brought a big change. The house, once echoing with silence, now rang with laughter. Isla stopped asking, "Where's Mommy?" every night, and instead began asking, "Is Sophia coming tomorrow?" Ethan noticed the shift, not just in Isla, but in himself. He no longer felt the crushing emptiness when he walked through the front door. Dinners were no longer just quiet meals between father and daughter. Sophia didn't just bring child development knowledge into their lives, she brought warmth, the kind that had vanished when Camila died. One afternoon, while Isla was quietly drawing, Ethan tiptoed over to peek. She was sketching 3 figures: a tall man with spiky hair, a little girl with pigtails, and a blonde woman, her smile unmistakable. "Who's this, sweetheart?" he asked. Isla looked up without hesitation. "That's Sophia. She looks like Mommy. I think maybe she could stay with us forever." Ethan didn't answer. He didn't know what to say. All he knew was that, for the first time in a very long time, this house wasn't just a place to live anymore. It was becoming a home. That afternoon, Vivian Hamilton arrived unannounced. Ethan was outside checking the irrigation system, while Sophia and Isla were reading together in the living room. When he stepped back inside, he met his former mother-in-law's eyes. Cold, sharp, brimming with unspoken words. "We need to talk," Vivian said. Her voice was low, tightly controlled. Isla ran to her, hugging her waist, but Vivian only stroked the girl's hair briefly before looking toward Sophia. "May I speak with Ethan privately?" Without waiting for an answer, she walked into the study. Ethan followed, a knot forming in his stomach. Vivian opened her handbag and pulled out a worn photograph. "You should see this." It was Camila and Sophia back in their Stanford days, arms wrapped around each other, beaming in front of the library. Ethan had never seen this photo before. On the back, Camila had written, "Her last day as roommates before everything changed." "I'll miss you." Ethan looked up. "What are you saying?" Vivian held his gaze. "Camila told me Sophia had feelings for you first. That's why she asked her to back away, to disappear from your life. And Sophia agreed." Ethan said nothing. "Do you really believe all this is coincidence?" Vivian continued, her tone sharp. "A woman who looks just like Camila walks into your life, bonds with your daughter, and now lives in your home?" Ethan slowly set the photo down. His chest felt tight with memories, with all the pieces that suddenly made too much sense. After Vivian left, he found Sophia standing quietly in the hallway. Her face told him she'd heard it all. "Is it true?" he asked, his voice low. "You had feelings for me?" Sophia didn't flinch. "Yes. When we first met, I noticed you, but I knew Camila already had feelings, and I couldn't betray her. So you stepped away. She loved you, and I loved her like a sister." Ethan studied her face. "What about now?" "At first, I came for Isla. I thought I was doing the right thing," she admitted. Ethan turned away. "I don't know what to think anymore, Sophia. There's too much I never knew." A long silence fell between them. Finally, he spoke, quietly without looking at her. "I think you should take some time off." Sophia nodded, her voice barely audible. "I understand." A week after Sophia left, the Langford house was quiet again, but this time the silence wasn't peaceful. Isla no longer bounced in after school or talked about her drawings and games. Every night before bed, she asked the same question. "Where's Miss Sophia, Daddy?" Ethan didn't know what to say. He simply stroked her hair and whispered, "She's just busy for a little while, sweetheart." But the truth was, he was the one who was lost. He tried to bury himself in work, in endless meetings, in numbers that no longer meant anything. But everything blurred the moment he came home. The rooms echoed again with that familiar crushing quiet, the sound that had haunted him for a year and a half after Camila died. One evening, after tucking Isla into bed, Ethan found himself in the old storage room. He stood before the fireproof safe Camila used to keep her personal things. He hadn't opened it since the funeral, but tonight something pulled him there. He entered the code, Isla's birthday, and the lock clicked open. Inside were several leather-bound journals, neatly stacked. Camila's handwriting was unmistakable. Ethan sat down, hands slightly trembling as he opened the first one. Her words appeared slowly, tenderly, but heavy with truth. Yoon, MRI confirms what I feared, malignant brain tumor, late stage. There are treatments, but no real cure. Ethan kept reading, his chest tightening with each word. I haven't told Ethan. He's already carrying too much. Isla needs a mother who's present, not a ghost in a hospital bed. And then came the page that stopped his breath. I found Sophia's number today. After all these years, I still think about her. I was so selfish to ask her to stay away. Back then, I was scared of losing Ethan, but now I'm leaving anyway. And the thought of Isla growing up without someone who understands her like Sophia does, it terrifies me. If I could have one last wish, it would be for them to find each other again. Not for me, for Isla, for Ethan. Ethan closed the journal, tears sliding silently down his face. Camila hadn't just forgiven the past. She had blessed the future. She had known, planned, hoped. He rose to his feet, heart pounding, not with grief this time, but clarity. For the first time in nearly 2 years, he knew exactly what he needed to do. The next morning, Ethan sent a message, brief, honest. Sophia, if you're free tomorrow evening, I'd like to see you. There's something important I need to show you. Her reply came minutes later. You picked the time and place? I'll be there. They met at a small cafe by the bay, a quiet spot Camila used to love. The light of late afternoon danced across the water, soft and golden. Sophia arrived early, Ethan a little late. He had spent too long sorting through the storm inside him. When he sat down, he said nothing. He simply placed the journal on the table. Sophia recognized it instantly. Her expression flickered. She wrote until the very end? Ethan nodded. And she wrote about you, about asking you to walk away, about how she hoped we'd find each other again. He turned to the page where Camila had written Sophia's name and slid the journal toward her. Sophia read silently. When she closed it, her eyes were damp, but her voice steady. She forgave me before I ever said I was sorry. Not just forgave, Ethan said. She left this behind as a guide, a second chance. A soft silence passed between them. Nothing stood now except truth and gratitude. So, what do we do? Sophia asked gently. Ethan smiled, for the first time without weight. We don't rush. We live honestly. For Isla. For ourselves. Sophia nodded. For Isla, she echoed. And for Camila, Ethan said, eyes drifting toward the open sea. She brought you back. I don't think it was an accident. The evening ended with a simple touch of hands. No promises, no pressure. Just two people, finally free to begin again, not with guilt, but with grace. And maybe, for the first time, they weren't looking backward anymore. A few days later, Sophia returned to the Langford home, not as a part-time caretaker, but as something more. Isla ran into her arms like no time had passed. Behind them, Ethan said quietly, I want you to stay, not just for the afternoon. Stay with us. Sophia didn't answer immediately. She looked at Isla, then at Camila's photo above the fireplace. If Camila believed in this, then maybe I should too. That weekend, they went to the beach, Camila's favorite place to watch the sunset. Vivian brought lanterns. Isla carried a bouquet of wildflowers. One by one, they released the lanterns, whispering their own private messages. As the lights floated upward, Isla tilted her face to the sky and said, "I think Mommy's smiling." Ethan gently squeezed Sophia's hand. No one spoke. No one needed to. Because in that moment they all felt it. Camila had never really left. 5 years later, the Langford home was no longer a place of silence and shadows. It had become a home filled with laughter, little footsteps, and the smell of fresh cookies on Sunday afternoons. Isla was now 9, sharp, kind, and wise beyond her years. She was also a proud big sister to 2 rambunctious twins, Leo and Jasmine. That morning was Isla's birthday. The living room was covered in balloons, her favorite foods lined the table, the house buzzed with birthday preparations. Sitting quietly in the corner was Raphael, Sophia's grandfather, the man she had taken care of throughout her graduate studies. After Sophia and Ethan married, Raphael had moved in with them, becoming an irreplaceable part of the family. Though in his 80s, he remained the heart of every dinner, always the loudest laugh. At that moment, he was showing Leo how to make a cookie disappear, his signature silly magic trick that mostly meant sneaking bites when no one was looking. Vivian was there too, gentler, more composed than she once was. She sat holding little Jasmine, smoothing the toddler's hair, named after Camilla's favorite flower. Isla came down the stairs in her sea green dress, wearing a silver heart locket around her neck. "What's that you're wearing?" Ethan asked, smoothing her hair. Isla opened the locket. Inside was a photo of Camila. "So Mommy can be at my party too," she whispered. Ethan paused, then smiled. "She'd be so proud of you." After the meal, the family gathered in the backyard, where Isla blew out the candles on her cake. "What did you wish for?" Sophia asked gently. Isla beamed. "Nothing, I already have everything." Her answer left Ethan and Sophia speechless, hearts full. And as evening fell, under the soft glow of garden lights, Ethan looked at his wife, his 3 children, Vivian reading a story, and Raphael laughing with joy. He realized this chapter hadn't just begun. It had become the greatest story of his life. That night, after all 3 children had fallen asleep, Ethan and Sophia sat together on the porch, wrapped in the soft glow of the garden lights. The ocean breeze passed gently, carrying salt and memory. They didn't speak, just held hands, staring up at the sky full of stars. "Do you think Camila can see us?" Sophia asked softly. Ethan smiled, gently squeezing her hand. "I think she doesn't just see us. I think she's the one who brought you back." Then, without warning, a streak of light cut across the heavens, a single shooting star. Sophia whispered, "A wish?" Ethan smiled, gently tightening his grip on her hand. "I don't need to wish. I'm already living it." Tears shimmered in Sophia's eyes as she nodded. Life doesn't follow straight lines, but sometimes the hardest detours lead us exactly where we're meant to be. For Ethan, the miracle wasn't loving once, it was finding love again, deeper and wiser after grief. For Sophia, happiness didn't mean replacing someone, it meant being chosen, just as she was, to be part of something whole again. Above them, the shooting star continued its path, a silent blessing from somewhere far beyond. And Ethan knew, this love, this family, wasn't a second chance. It was the right one all along.